Hey there, welcome to Kettlebell class. Today we're going to be doing hip and ankle mobilizations. So get ready with your mat, have a kettlebell close by. We're going to be using that as well. Get ready for a time of exploring our hips, getting to feel some different ranges of motion, and hopefully you'll leave with some nice juicy feeling hips today, better than when you came in. We're going to start today with our feet. You may not think of the feet as connected to the hips since they're all the way at the other end, but surprisingly, they have a lot to do with each other, or maybe not so surprisingly. They're basically two ends of this leg chain. So let's take our foot. You're going to pull back on your big toe, and if you feel the bottom of your foot when you pull back on your big toe there, you feel the plantar fascia popping out, that thick band that goes from underneath that big toe knuckle to the heel. We're going to make a fist with our other hand and just scrub up and down the length of that tissue. And our goal here is to get some warmth, friction, and just start to warm up the foot and the tissues, and giving it a nice massage. And if you want to take it a little deeper and slower, or light and fast. Keep scrubbing over the sides of the foot, and then let's go across the entire arch, side to side now with the knuckles. When you've got the arch nice and warmed up, let's take both thumbs into the middle of the ball of your foot. You're going to press down and squeeze, and let's get the foot and the toes to curl around, make almost like you're balling a little fist with your toes there, pushing into the center with your thumb. I'm going to use knuckle if it's sensitive, and do that as well. Now let's go. Each toe is going to get its own little massage, like you're trying to pull the meat off the bone of a very cooked rib. Just pulling, twisting, giving a massage, and then you can also stretch it back and down both ways. And each toe is going to get its own massage. Work your way down, each toe getting that bone stripping massage, squeeze, stretch. Really, each one gets its attention, especially that pinky toe, often forgotten. Let's take all the toes, stretch them down, stretch them back, and then you're going to take your fingers and we're going to put one finger in between each toe. It's going to be like you're holding hands with your foot. Really get it in there, work the fingers up to the knuckles, and let's just stretch those toes. Depending if you've done this before or not, this could feel very uncomfortable in the beginning, so it's okay. Just be gentle. Don't take it anywhere painful, but let's try to normalize the sensation of our toes stretching wide. Give it some nice rolls around. And then squeeze your fingers together, and you're going to pull, like you want to pull all your toes off until that hand comes free. Give it a nice warming side to side friction rub on the whole foot, the top of the skin, getting a massage on the top of the foot, nice strokes leading down, and then grab the top of the foot and the heel in your two hands. You're going to twist that foot like you're trying to twist water out of a rag, wring that rag. Twist both ways, really handle that heel bone. Get that foot as mobile as you can. You might be surprised by how much the foot can move, the joints of the foot, but it's so adaptable. And the more flexible our foot is, the easier it's going to be to use our hip control. It's very hard to walk on stiff little stilts. So this nice, soft, flexible foot will give our hips something decent to deal with when it comes to stability and balance, which is really what mobility is all about, is being stable, strong, balanced. It's not just flexibility. All right, I think that foot has had a good massage. Let's do the other one. So all the way back to the beginning, starting with pulling back that big toe. Feel that fascia. Let's make a fist and rub the knuckles up and down that tissue. This plantar fascia is very thick and strong and is connected all the way up to some of the fascial lines on the hamstrings, the calves. So sometimes calf and hamstring tightness can be felt all the way down through your feet, through that plantar fascia. You can do soft, long strokes, quick, or deep. Whatever that tissue feels like it needs. This is a enjoyable massage. And then let's go side to side. Now that we feel like we got that mid-arch warmed up, let's go up to the ball of the foot and put the two thumbs into the center of the ball and squeeze. Roll the foot around and push down into the center. Now let's start to give the toes each their massage, starting up with the big toe, pulling the meat off the bone, twisting and rubbing and squeezing the tissues, then stretch and flex that big toe, give it its own little stretch. And work your way down each toe. Moving on to the next toe. And so on until we get to that pinky toe. Give all the toes a nice stretch, a nice squeeze. And then we're going to go ahead and interlace the fingers in between the toes. Again, just kind of move them around, get the toes sensitized to that feeling of being stretched wide. Give it some nice rolls. And then squeeze the fingers and pull until that hand comes free. You're going to work the skin on top of the foot there. Give it a nice massage. Stretch it. Pull it down over the toes. Give it a nice friction massage. Warm it up. And then we're going to grab the foot in our two hands and wring like a rag. Twist and untwist, push on the heel bone, and twist together those toes. And our feet should be nice and warmed up now. Good feeling. This is always a good thing. I like doing the hand massage process through the feet. You can do it anywhere, but if anybody knows me, they also know that I love the yoga balls, the small yoga balls that you can get in a pouch of 2. I think those are also great tools to roll with your feet, but you always have your hands, so you can always use your hands. Let's grab our kettlebell and we're going to take it to the mat. We're going to use it to smash our calf and roll out our calf and do some stretches with that. All right, so sitting on our mat with our kettlebell, we're going to go ahead and prop up our calf onto the handle of the kettlebell. If your kettlebell is too rolly or not heavy enough, you can always put the kettlebell over on its side and use the ball itself. I do like the targeted handle, however, and this is something to keep in mind if you're purchasing kettlebells, how stable the base is versus the handle and so on. This can also add to the functionality of your kettlebell. So we're going to go ahead, lay that calf onto the kettlebell handle or the kettlebell ball, and just go side to side with your foot. Relax your calf as much as you can. And we're starting closer down towards the ankle, and we're going to slowly work our way up. So just side to side, slow. Take a deep breath, and you'll probably notice that there's some areas that are a little more painful than others. So just like if you were getting a massage and someone hit a tender knot, they would hold on it, and you're going to hold on this tender knot. Big inhale, and then just exhale. See if you can relax that tension a little bit more. It can take a little bit of time and pressure to get these little tension areas to kind of relax and not be as painful. Let's work it up a little bit higher. And then addressing any of those tight spots, holding, taking a deep breath, and relaxing that. You're gonna hold on to one of those tender areas, and let's take the foot. We're gonna pull the toes towards the face and point the foot. And so holding on that tender spot, just flossing the muscles by pointing and flexing the toe. If you want more pressure, you can cross your other leg and lay it on top. You can take that foot in some circles, both directions, and it can be pretty tender. What you should notice is afterwards, the tension is not as bad. Rolling on that spot. I'm going to do this one more time on another tender area. Hold, and then I'm going to point and flex my foot. And give it some ankle circles. In both directions. Let's do the other side. I'm going to switch my feet over to my other calf, and then again starting kind of closer down towards the foot, and side to side, nice and slow. I'm just looking for any tight spots, any knots. When I find them, holding, relaxing, and then you can point and flex. See if you can Stretch your toes while you do this. Point, stretch. Move on to a new spot. And nice and slow, side to side. Hold on any tense areas. Nice deep breath in. And flex. And finish with a circle. All right. I'm just going to give it a nice little up and down, and then we're going to go to the hip flexor now. So keep that kettlebell on your mat right where it is. We're going to change position over the kettlebell. And we want this handle to be able to go right up to the top of the quad on the front of the hip. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to drive my weight down into it just like with the calf. And I'm going to roll side to side just a little bit. Just smashing those tissues on the front of the hip, working that, I almost called it a foam roller, working that kettlebell in. And then once you've found a nice tight spot, you're going to flex that leg. Bring your heel up towards your butt. I want to keep the core engaged. I don't want to arch my back. I'm going to keep my core nice and tight as I flex that leg. Let's go ahead to the other side. Pin down that hip flexor. Right at the top of the quad, and you can kind of roll side to side, a little mesh. Find a sore spot, core engaged, and at about 4 or 5 kicks, nice deep breath, and slowly. All right, let's use that kettlebell now to help open up both the ankle and the hip flexor. So I'm going to be in a half kneeling position. I want my hips nice and square. I don't want my hips cocked off to the side, so make sure your hips are level. One is not higher than the other, and that your foot is straight in front of your hip there. We're going to take our kettlebell and load it up onto the thigh. We're going to use this extra weight to drive forward. We're going to open up this opposite hip. Change sides so you can see. So this hip is the one that we're going to stretch and open up. We're also going to stretch the ankle of the front leg. Make sure you start with your knee at a 90-degree angle. You don't want that foot too far in. And just squeeze your glutes. Keep your core tight and upright, and drive forward and use this extra weight to help push the knee forward. Get a good stretch. I want you to feel the weight in the whole foot, weight into your heel and into your ball of your foot, your toes. Squeezing your butt, you're going to feel a stretch in this hip flexor. Nice deep breath. Exhale. See if you can drop a little bit deeper. And to increase the stretch, think about pushing your back foot down into the ground. And now, I'll really feel that stretch open up that whole leg. Let's bring it back and we'll switch sides. All right, make sure the hips are square. Front leg is about 90 degrees. Big inhale, I'm going to brace that core. driving forward, squeezing my butt nice and tall, really trying to open up that hip, but also getting a good stretch through my front ankle. Think about pushing that back leg down into the ground. Nice deep breath, push against the floor, exhale so you can get a little bit deeper. And come on back. All right, we're gonna put our kettlebell to the side just for a little bit, and then we're going to bring it back, come down to your mat, and we're gonna make our 90-90 for our shin box. You can just call it 90-90. You want to make sure each leg is at 90 degrees, right there at the knee. You can start with your hands back behind you. Keep your heels and your butt in place, and you're going to flip your knees over, rotating your hips, pressing your knees down into the ground, and now you've switched the other side. And then we're going to do it again. You can use the hands if you want. Push back to the side. And then to increase that challenge, you can go hands free. We want to take it up one more. We're going to reach. And I would reach with both arms on this side, but my bookshelf is in the way. And reach. All right, let's bring our kettlebell in. Now we're going to do our shin box, but load it up. This is just going to increase our core activation, but just like it did in our previous stretch, using that kettlebell as an extra load can help increase the dynamics of these stretches. So just holding the weight, and if you weren't able to shin box without your hands, keep practicing with your hands before you advance to our kettlebell here. We're going to work side to side. Think about pressing your knees down into the ground. Nice tight core, sitting back onto both hips, pushing over, knees into the ground. We'll go two more. And last one. And back to center. Kettlebells are going to go down again, and we're going to practice some quadruped hip cars. So now that we've really kind of gone through some mobilizing through self-myofascial release, fancy name for self-massage, and we've done some dynamic stretching, we're going to get into some dynamic stretching that includes strengthening. So it's an active range of motion. From our quadruped position, let's take a quick cat-cow. Inhaling on the way up, exhaling down, and then we're just going to find our neutral. Make sure our hands are under our shoulders, knees are under the hips. We're going to start by taking our knee up into our chest, and we want to keep the back nice and flat. We don't want to round the spine when we pull that knee in. So keep the core tight and engaged, and then out to the side, kicking that leg all the way back. Squeeze your butt. You don't want to see any change in the core here. Core is going to stay engaged and neutral. Out to the side, back, and in. Go one more in this direction. Make sure you're breathing. And then bring it back into the chest and reverse. Out to the side, in and up. Let's do one more round. And we'll switch sides. Back to center. Let's take another cat-cow in the middle here to reset. And switch sides. Flexion into the chest, over to the side. And let's switch directions. All right, let's bring it in, and we're gonna go into some standing work to start to load and really use this flexibility in an active way. Okay, so the first move we're going to be doing is an inline lunge. Now, you don't have to do this one with a kettlebell, of course. Adding a kettlebell, just like the other stretches that we've been doing, is going to increase not only the difficulty, but you're going to get into a deeper range. But as always, practice at body weight first and judge by your reaction, your body's reaction to doing it body weight, if you want to add weight or not. So we're going to line up our feet, one right in front of the other. So you've got heel to toe. Make sure your hips aren't turned out. You've got hips nice and straight forward. Core is going to be engaged, and get a good feel for the floor on your feet, that you have your balance right down the center of each foot, not all in the heel, not all in the toes. And we're just going to drop it straight down. You can hold on to your hips, or if you have a wall nearby, you can hold on to the wall for balance. This can be a little tricky if you're not used to it. We want to drop down as low as we can without losing our heels off the floor. So we want to keep those feet nice and flat as we drop down, just as low as we can go. Avoid the knees touching each other and pressing in. See if you can maintain a nice space in between. Let's do two more. And switch sides. So the foot in front is now the foot behind. Same process. Drop it straight down. This is definitely my tighter hip, and just this left leg overall very a little bit more unbalanced and less flexible. Remember, you can hold on to something. Do two more. So hopefully you're able to feel how that ties in hip and calf and ankle flexibility. Next thing we're going to do is going to work a little bit of your hip mobility laterally. So that's you moving your hips side to side. This kind of movement. You also feel how when you do that, it shifts the weight from one foot to the other. We're going to be working a bottom-loaded windmill. So we're going to want our kettlebell. You're going to hold it down low in one hand at the side. So I'm going to start with both feet pointed forward, and then on the side that I have my kettlebell, I'm going to turn my foot out. Now that lateral movement we were just talking about, you're going to shift your weight away from the kettlebell. The kettlebell's on my left. I'm going to do that lateral shift to the right. So my weight's going into that foot, the right foot, where my kettlebell is not. All right, with my hands, that's free. I'm just going to reach it up overhead. Keep shifting your weight sideways, laterally. Keep your knees a little bit soft and bend the knee that is closest to the kettlebell. You want to keep your core nice and straight, so only go as low as you can without bending your torso. So it might be right here. You're going to feel a stretch in the outer hip and down that thigh, possibly into your hamstring as well. Let that kettlebell pull you down into the stretch. Let's do 2 more. Shoulder nice and open. And last one. We're going to switch sides. Hand up to the ceiling. Nice shift. And up. Do 2 more. Now we've done our side to side, our lateral hip mobility. We're going to go into working our hamstrings, kind of that back of our leg, but it also goes all the way down our hamstrings, our calves, and our foot, just like when we talked that plantar fascia. So we're going to take our kettlebells, holding them by the horns, and we're going to take them around our head. So I would go around, resting it onto the small of my back. Now you don't want your elbows to flare out like this. Let's keep them nice and tight. You want the kettlebell resting onto your muscles, not onto your spine. If you want to have something like putting on a hooded jacket, the hood can also serve as a little padding for that kettlebell. So with our feet close together and straight, we're going to keep our legs straight, knees straight, and our back straight, and just shift your weight back into your heels. If you can wiggle your toes, that's always a good test. And we're hinging our hips back until you feel a good stretch in your hamstrings. And then we're going to come up, squeezing the hips forward. So this is called a good morning. Shift the weight into the heels, hinge back, keep your back straight, and squeeze. This is a great way to load those hamstrings nice and slow and get the stretch all the way down through your calves. Remember to keep the elbows in. Let's do 2 more. And 1. Think about keeping your chest up as much as possible. All right, so let's come back down to the floor. We're going to put it all together for our lower body with one of my favorite moves that I use all the time now, which is the scorpion roll. So we're going to come down to the floor. You're going to get onto your hands and lowering the chest down. You want your hands right by the shoulders. Tuck your elbows in and think about pointing your legs like you're trying to reach your toes long and straight. We're going to kick one leg up, lift the knee off the floor, but keep your hip on the ground. And then lift that hip up, open up. It's like you're trying to show your crotch to the sky or your belly button to the sky. And keep stretching that back foot long as you reach over. Now nice and slow, we're going to come back, touch down that hip first, then the knee, then the foot. And then switch sides. Stretch that other leg, that long leg, and reach. And nice and slow. Let's repeat that. Reaching up and over. And nice and slow. Inhale, reach. Exhale. Just like we did with the quadruped hip cars. It's about really trying to control the movement. Finally, dig both your toes in, push back into quadruped, all the way onto your haunches, onto your heels. Let's turn it over. Gonna come back, hug those knees into your chest. You can hold on to the kneecaps. Let's take them in a big circle. With a deep breath. And then reverse your circle, bring it back. Finally, let's grab onto the ankles and take a quick happy baby. You can rock side to side or kick out those legs. Whatever feels right to you. Both legs. Just take and enjoy a moment with the hips. And then let's bring those hips in. Give yourself a nice, loving squeeze. And when you're ready, push yourself up to seated. And good job for completing just a little bit of mobility work with me today. I hope this class is fun for you. I hope you enjoyed it. And I look forward to seeing you in more.